In the fall of 1967, 14-year-old Sylvia Linda Klayh was spending a relaxing weekend with her family at a rented cabin on Brereton Lake, Manitoba. It was a popular recreational area within the province's Whiteshell Provincial Park. Early in the morning on August 13th, one of her parents requested some help cleaning up. Sylvia apparently got in an argument with them over this simple request and retreated back into her bedroom. After a few moments, Sylvia suddenly burst out of her room and stormed angrily out of the cabin. After this moment of teenage frustration, Sylvia promptly vanished. Her mother and father did not chase after her, and instead waited for her to cool off and return. However, when there was no sign of her by 2 p.m., and the family was sitting down to lunch, her parents started to become worried and called the local police. The police quickly determined from her parents that Sylvia did not take any additional belongings with her outside of the clothes she was already wearing. As a 14-year-old, it's likely that she packed a purse or a backpack with her to take to the cabin, but she is confirmed to have left all her belongings behind. The police then organized a massive ground search for Sylvia, assuming that she couldn't have gone far. The area around the lake was densely wooded bushland, and it would have been hard for her to make it far into the wilderness in only a few hours without proper shoes or supplies. She was confirmed to only have been wearing light strappy sandals, and that wouldn't have lasted long in the dense forest undergrowth. The ground search failed to reveal any clues, and no traces of Sylvia or her clothing was ever found. This remains the case today, almost 57 years later. Sylvia's disappearance is baffling. For someone who was only wearing a t-shirt and shorts with light sandals, it just isn't possible that she could have gotten more than a few miles away in the rugged Manitoba terrain before the search for her began. While it was summer when she vanished, meaning that the cold, bitter weather would not have been a factor, it isn't likely she could have lasted for more than a few days in the wilderness without decent supplies. So what really happened to her? Theory number 1, an animal attack. The Manitoba wilderness is known for being particularly harsh. If the bears, cougars, and other wildlife don't get you, the mosquitoes and biting insects most certainly will. Brutal terrain surrounded the cabin, and it is possible that a wolf or some other large predator attacked Sylvia and drug her off to a place where she wouldn't be found. Two factors, however, seem to work against this theory. 1. The area she disappeared in was a provincial park. If she was being viciously attacked by an animal, the public present in the park at the time would have more than likely heard screams or some sort of commotion. The second, that the searchers found nothing. No torn clothing, no blood, nothing. Animal attacks are rarely that neat, and an attack by a bear or a wolf would have left some evidence behind. Theory number 2, she succumbed to the elements. A likely theory is that Sylvia wandered away to an area that was missed by the searchers and eventually succumbed to the elements. However, a provincial park is slightly more controlled than the unconfined wilderness around it. There are often rangers on ATVs, well-used walking trails, and washrooms, and Sylvia should have been able to find something to take shelter in if she disappeared inside the park. There would have been people roaming around everywhere in the summer, and she was never heard calling or asking for help from any of the outbuildings. Theory number 3, she vanished voluntarily. Sylvia had no known history of running away. However, she did get into an argument with her parents that morning. Teenagers are often hot-headed and strong-willed. Perhaps Sylvia hitched a ride out of the campground in defiance of her parents and never looked back. Sources advise that early in the media coverage of her disappearance, it was suggested that she may have tried to run away and make it to Ottawa. But this seems unlikely, as Ottawa is over 2,000 kilometers or 1,200 miles away, and she never contacted any of her friends or family in the Ottawa region. Theory number 4, an accidental death in the woods. The possibility of accidental death cannot completely be ruled out. The Whiteshell Provincial Park is surrounded by dense forests, and it of course contains Lake Barrington itself. When Sylvia wandered off, she could have fallen, drowned, or suffered an injury that left her incapacitated and unable to walk. When people disappear in these types of areas, under these types of circumstances, often nothing is ever found, just like in Sylvia's case. Theory number 5. Sylvia was abducted from the campground. It is believed that the police took this theory as a very real, very serious possibility as to why Sylvia vanished. The complete lack of any communication after her disappearance strongly suggests that she did not leave by choice. If she wanted to leave of her own accord, it is more than likely she would have made some kind of contact for money or resources, but no contact was ever received. If she was abducted, this would have prevented her from reaching out. If you are enjoying this episode, please consider liking and subscribing. Your interaction is much appreciated. Now back to the video. During the time of Sylvia's disappearance in the 1960s, the public was much less aware of crimes like child abduction, and police investigations often had fewer resources. There was no national database to track missing persons, and forensic science was still in its early stages. National databases, such as the National Center for Missing Persons and Unidentified Remains, have become such an important tool in solving cases in the years since, and they now ensure that cases like Sylvia's that happen today stand a much better chance of being solved. Various details about the day Sylvia disappeared and about the search efforts and police investigation remain elusive, simply due to the fact that the case is almost 60 years old. These new databases contain DNA details, age-progressed photos, and vital case information. Although her case does not have any of these modern advantages, that does not mean that it is unsolvable. In recent years, there has been a growing movement in Canada to bring renewed attention to cold cases, especially those involving women who disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Her story is now part of a larger conversation about cold cases and how new forensic techniques like genetic genealogy can be applied to find answers. Unfortunately, there seem to be no recent updates, even in the past decade, from the police on what they were doing to solve Sylvia's case. Sadly, hers is one that has seemed to have really slipped into the dark annals of Canadian true crime history. If you have any knowledge about this case, please contact the Manitoba RCMP Major Crime Services at 1-204-983-5461. She was a young woman with a full life ahead of her, and the search for answers, even after 50 years, must continue. Thank you for watching. We hope that answers, peace, and comfort find Sylvia's family. If you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe. I'm also new at this, and I would appreciate your feedback in the comments. This episode is also available as a podcast on Spotify. Cheers, stay safe, and always watch your back.